So welcome, Chef Morgan.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. This is so exciting. I love the concept of this and bringing everybody together to learn and to eat. What's better than that, honestly? It's so great. Welcome. So I'll come back behind the counter. So today, like we said, we're gonna make raw vegan pizza, and there's so many times in my life where I've heard people say that pizza is their favorite food. Like there's just something so comforting about it, and I love just the layers of it. It's so diverse. You can do so much with it. You got the crust, and then from there, endless possibilities come. Like with the food truck that we have here, we serve out of the food truck. We have 3 different types of pizzas that we serve right now. So there's a classic classic pizza, which is like how we're going to prepare today, with the tomato sauce, the sunflower seed cheese, all the toppings. And then we also have a taco pizza, or we have a Cali pizza, which has pickled onions and different things like that. So I love the pizza because you have your base and you can build from there. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but the crackers that we're going to be making today also have the same base as the pizza crust. So that's another really awesome thing about raw food, is you can just make a lot of something, and while you're doing it, I think there's so many ideas that come of like, okay, maybe I can add a little bit of this and turn it into something new, or turn it into something a little different. Like I know working with raw food, a lot of times people might think it's limiting the amount of ingredients you can do, but I think it opens up so much space for creativity and possibilities, because like how many different combinations of zucchinis and carrots and seeds can you use to make endless amounts of things. So it's really cool. But let's dive in, because we got a lot of fun things to make today. So first, for the pizza crust, we're gonna have our soaked buckwheat. So we'll get all the ingredients out. We're gonna have the soaked buckwheat, the soaked sunflower seeds. And it's nice to soak everything before, just to help digest, just to help get more of the nutrients out of the foods. We're also gonna need some flax seeds. So if you have some ground flax, we'll need that too. Then we're also gonna need some carrots. And then an optional ingredient, we have nutritional yeast. So that is optional. It's really for the flavor. I would say if you're gonna use it for the crackers, because you can really taste the flavor in it. But if you want to use it for all, go ahead, use it for all. And then the last thing we're gonna need, very simple, just some Italian seasoning. So maybe you have, you could buy that little bottle of Italian seasonings, or maybe you have some fresh herbs from your garden, or you're growing some fresh herbs. So I have some thyme and some rosemary and also some oregano here. So whatever you have, herb-wise, let's get that going. So I have a Cuisinart food processor here that I'm gonna use to mix up what we need for the pizza crust and the crackers. So I know some people have a Vitamix, whatever kind of thing that you have, you can definitely use that. We'll be doing the pizza crust and the crackers separate, just for your vessel to be able to handle that in case you have like a smaller thing. So yeah, let's dive in with the pizza crust first. All right, so we're gonna take a half cup of the soaked buckwheat. We'll take half a cup. And if you have your buckwheat still soaking and you need to drain it right now, you can do that. I'm just gonna take a half cup and put it right in the food processor. So this is gonna make 1 pizza's worth. So what I love about raw food and dehydration, you can prepare a lot of things at once. So let's say you wanna have pizza all week, every day, maybe, who knows. You could just double this, triple this, however many pizzas, or I think pizza is so fun. If you wanna have a dinner party or something, you wanna make 10 pizza crusts, and they store really nicely. Like you can just put them in the fridge. They would last a couple weeks. It's great. All right, so now we'll take 1/3 cup of the sunflower seeds. So we have the buckwheat in there. We're gonna take the sunflower seeds now, put them in with it. And then we're gonna take 1 tablespoon of the ground flax. So take 1 tablespoon of ground flax and add that in. And if you want to add the nutritional yeast, you could do a tablespoon of that. So the flax is going to help to bind everything together. Flax is something we use a lot of here at Roots. All right. And then we'll take 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. You have some nice black pepper. We'll add that in. Nice. And then we'll add the herbs. So we're gonna do a teaspoon of herbs. So whatever herbs you have. I'm gonna do oregano, thyme, and rosemary. All right, so the only thing that we don't have in here right now are the carrots. So we're gonna add the carrots after. So what we have in here right now, we have the soaked buckwheat, the soaked sunflower seeds, the tablespoon of flax. We have the nutritional yeast if you have it and you're using it, and the herbs and black pepper. So now we're just gonna mix that up. Yeah, all right. So with the Cuisinart that I have, there's 4 settings. There's on, off, dough, and pulse, all these 4 things. So I usually just put it on and see what happens. Just let it cook a little bit. Making sure everything is fully integrated. Because this machine's pretty big, I'm used to doing really big batches of things. So here, because we're serving out of the food truck, we usually make about 20 to 40 pizzas at a time. So you can stop it every once in a while, take a spatula, push the sides down, the edges down. And then just keep it going again. So you want to just make sure everything's fully integrated. Sometimes, depending on how much water your seeds have collected, maybe you want to add a little splash of water. It'll help you to get everything integrated a bit more. So it depends on what kind of machine you're using, what you're doing. So maybe if you need a little bit of water to help mix everything, you can do a little splash in there. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of water just because I got a lot of space and small amount of seeds. So right now we're just mixing everything up. In the food processor or blender, or Vitamix, whatever you have. That's what I just love about cooking and preparing in general. One of my favorite things is just setting it all up, setting all the ingredients out, and just like looking at the colors and the shapes and the textures. And I think that's just from also like having an artist's eye perspective. But I think it's something that's really beautiful for everybody to just like take a moment and then look at everything and appreciate it, and just know that all of these things grew right from the earth and they're here to help us thrive and be in harmony with nature, because we're eating so close to the ground. I think it's such an incredible thing, and it's so empowering to just know where your food comes from and to be able to prepare it yourself and have those valuable life skills. It's so important. So we're still mixing this up. Just added a little more water. Good. All right, and then when it's fully mixed up, we're gonna take a mixing bowl and we're gonna take the contents out of the blender, the processor, whatever you're mixing it up in. I'm just gonna take that out, put it in a mixing bowl, and then we're gonna add the carrots. So the reason why we don't put the carrots right in there is that we don't want them to be finely ground up into a mush along with this. We want to keep the carrots a little intact, and that's going to help give the pizza a little bit of like flexibility. All right, so we're getting everything into a mixing bowl. And if anybody has questions you need to ask at any moment, you can do that. All right, so we're gonna take a carrot. We're gonna do 3 tablespoons of chopped carrots. So you can shred the carrots if you have a grater, or you can chop them. Whatever you want to do. We're going to take a carrot.
Hey Morgan, I have a question.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, so you're making one pizza. Is that one serving for one person, would you say?
I would say yes. From experience watching people eat it at the cafe, it is very filling. So yeah. Sometimes people share it. It really depends on like your personal appetite, but I've definitely eaten a whole pizza for myself as one serving. But I've seen it shared, and you will definitely be very satisfied and full after eating the one pizza.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, so if you wanted to prepare more, like if you're having a party or something, so right now you could definitely just take this recipe and multiply it by however many pizzas you want to use. So right now I'm just chopping the carrots. And for me, I think the best way personally to hold the knife, just so I feel like I have the most control, is to take my thumb on the left side, and or depending on what hand you're using, my thumb, and then my index finger, just holding it up at the top, close to the base, the handle. Instead of holding the handle, I like to have it up there. And then just chopping finely. It's so nice. These carrots are from a local farm up by us in Chester, New York. And I can't even, it's just so exciting to be able to, so he comes in his van, like he after the farmer's market that he goes to on Sundays, he comes over in his van and just like opens up the back doors. He has all this beautiful produce and it's like shopping. You're like, ooh, this is so nice. Let's take this. Let's take this. What can we do with this? And it's amazing to know where it's coming from, and you can feel the love and the energy from that person that created it. And I think that's something that is really beautiful when you start to become more conscious of where your food's coming from, where it's sourced, as you're building a relationship to it, and that's not only like what you're eating, but what you're filling your body, your mind, your spirit with. I think it's beautiful. All right, so we're chopping carrots. Then I know for me, sometimes cooking is just such a meditation. Like you just get into the zone and you're chopping. You just forget about everything. It's just you and the carrots. All right, so chopping it finely, or shredding it, whatever you have. And then we're gonna add 3 tablespoons. So we'll take a tablespoon. 1, 2, 3. If you have a little extra carrots, no problem. We'll need them for the crackers too, and for the meatballs. So you can just put them over to the side. All right, and then we're just gonna mix that together. So mixing, and you'll probably notice that even just having that sit in the bowl for a minute, it thickened up because of the flax. Absorbing some of the water. So just mix that up.
I love the color.
Oh yeah?
Beautiful. I like the pinky orangey.
Yeah. I just heard a goat noise from behind me outside the door. We have goat yoga going on outside here. That's such a trip. Oh my gosh. That's what. All right, so now we're gonna take a dehydrator sheet, and we're just gonna spread the pizza out on the sheet. So I like to just like get down into it and use my hands to spread it out. But if you like tools, you could use a little spatula like that. So I have dehydrator sheet on a rack here, so it can go right into the dehydrator. I have a very big dehydrator, so that it requires these racks, but depending on what size you're using, whatever you have, just make sure you get the sheet that will fit into the vessel. I gotta make some space here for myself. Oh my gosh. So we really only need a half cup of chopped zucchini for the zucchini hummus, but my friend brought this from her garden today, and I'm so excited by it. It's huge. So I gotta move that up. That's taking up like half of the table, really.
Morgan, what will be the thickness of your crust right now?
All right, so I haven't even gotten down on there, but it's gonna be about, I'd say a half inch. And then I like to just form a little bit of like a crust on the edges, just pinching it. So you could do that if you want to, or you could just have it flat. I think it adds to the look of the pizza, but yeah, so we'll just scoop it all on there. And then I'm just gonna take my hands and just flatten it down. Just pressing with both hands, just shaping it. It's like sculpting, it's so fun. Think about making a little sculpture.
Like a personal pizza.
Yeah, it's a little personal pizza. So we're gonna, so you could even make this a big pizza if you wanted to. If you're making this at home and you want to double or triple the recipe, you could make a pizza that goes about the whole size of this tray. So you could share with friends, family. But yeah, for the sake of this, we're doing a personal pizza. And it's interesting, like when you look at it, a lot of people, when they order it at the truck, they're like, how big is the pizza? And you show them, they're like, oh, so they order other things. And then like sometimes they don't even finish it because it's very surprising. I think a lot of people that come here who don't know much about raw foods, they'll think that they need to have like so much food to fill them up. But really, like a lot of people are surprised by how filling everything is. Because it's so dense and fiber and nutrients. It's like what your body's really craving to nourish you. All right, so we don't have a ruler. Let me do that little. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's probably about 6 inches by 6 inches, the pizza. And I'm bumping up the edges just with my fingers just to make a little crust. Just optional. And if you wanted to have slices, you could take like the back edge of your knife or a spatula or something and very, very lightly, definitely not pressing all the way down, but very lightly, you could just score down the middle and then flip the knife to the other way. You could score it so that you have little slices, but that's optional. You could just like, it's nice, I just like pick up the whole pizza and take a chunk, but if you're gonna share it, if you just wanna try it, it's nice to just score it. Just taking the knife and just very lightly pressing down. So this is what mine looks like. Oh, definitely don't want to slide it right off, but yeah. It's about 6 inches by 6 inches. It's a really nice, light but filling crust. So we used to make pizzas here out of almond flour, and it was just very heavy to eat and very dense. And so we've gone through so many different pizza crust recipes, and this one we love this one. So you can go ahead and put this right in your dehydrator if you want to, or you can set it down and come back to it if you want to do everything at the end together, all the dehydrated stuff. So I'm just gonna set this down.
Looking really good. Guys, do you have your crust? If you can show us your crust, that would be really exciting.
Yeah.
Great job. Wow. Looking good. Well, thank you for making it with us. That's make it so much fun.
Yeah. Fun. Okay, so we're gonna do the crackers now. So it's cool, you get to like put into action what you just learned again, because it's really the same recipe. We're just gonna add a little more spices to it. The crackers are fun because if you make them at home again, you can add different things to them. Like you could throw in some sun-dried tomatoes and mix them around and have like a nice sun-dried tomato cracker. or any other vegetables really, but we're gonna go ahead and put all the same things back in the food processor. So we can do it a little faster this time maybe. So we're gonna do a half cup of the buckwheat again. So half cup of the soaked buckwheat. Put it in the food processor. And I love, this is just also to show you, if you're making big batches of things, it's cool to put a little bit to the side and experiment with something. Like I do that with desserts a lot of the times. I'll make a crust for a pie, and then I'll have some extra, so I'll make it into a cookie, or I'll make a completely different dessert with it. And it's nice just to have like a big batch of something and be like, okay, how many different things can this be? All right, so then we're gonna take the 1/3 cup of sunflower seeds, put that in food processor. So we have half cup buckwheat, 1/3 sunflower seeds, and then we're gonna do a tablespoon of flax. Tablespoon of flax. And then we're gonna, the optional part, the nutritional yeast, it's nice, it has some great flavor. A lot of times it's used to make cheeses because it has like that cheesy flavor. So you could do it for the crackers. It's I would say the most essential part of the whole experience with that would be the sunflower seed cheese that we're gonna make next week to top the pizza. So we'll add that in. And then you can add some black pepper, so 1/8 teaspoon. And then we'll do a teaspoon of garlic powder. So just to give the crackers a little bit more flavor, because maybe you're eating them on your own, or we're gonna make the zucchini hummus that you can eat them with. But with the pizza crust, it doesn't have to have too much flavor, because you know you're gonna put a sauce and then a cheese and then some toppings, the meatballs. So yeah, you can keep that simple. So we're putting a teaspoon of garlic powder. So right now we have buckwheat, sunflower seeds, flax, black pepper, garlic. And then we're gonna do a teaspoon of rosemary, a teaspoon of thyme, or whatever herbs you have, whatever fresh herbs. Maybe you just have an Italian seasoning mix, you wanna put 2 teaspoons of that. All right, and with the crackers, we can just put the carrots right in, because the crackers are gonna be a little harder in texture than the pizza. The pizza's gonna be nice and soft, but also it kind of depends on you. So you could keep it in the dehydrator for longer if you would want to make it a little crispier. I personally like it softer better, but with crackers, I like to have them nice and crisp. So we'll continue to chop some more carrots, or if you have it already, we're gonna add 3 tablespoons. So then the color is gonna be nice and orange.
Morgan, can I ask you a
Yeah.
question? How long do you dehydrate the pizza, and how long do you dehydrate the crackers?
Thank you. Yeah, I just thought of that also. So on my dehydrator, I usually put it on 115. And so there's a lot of different options and settings. So I usually put it on 115 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I have it, the pizza will be in there for a long time, about 15 hours. So that, you know your dehydrator and how much time it takes. Maybe you have a smaller one, so you need more time or less time. But I usually put the pizza crust in for about 15 hours. And the crackers, I would say for maybe about 20 hours if you want them crisper. Or if you're watching it very, very carefully, you could put it on for 10 hours and see how it goes. And that's what I think is interesting about the dehydrators is that you experiment with it a lot. There's so many times we make these plantain wraps here too, where like the weather affects them and the humidity, and sometimes you have to adjust it a little bit to account for that. But for the most part, I would say about 15 hours for the pizza crust. Raw food really teaches patience. It's beautiful. And preparation and process. And I think it just connects you so much more to the food. And that's why I think it's like how you eat also. Not just what you're eating. It's like you're putting yourself through this beautiful process of connecting to your food and taking care of yourself, taking care of your family. And it's like taking your power back, you know, from places you tell you need to eat a certain way, or you need to eat this to have protein, you need to do this, whatever it is. There's so much outside noise telling you how to eat, what's the best way to eat, how to do this, whatever. There's so much of that. And I think the more you can really just connect to your food and sense it and be intuitive with it, it's fabulous. Okay, so we're adding carrots into the mix. You can put them right in there. 3 tablespoons. We're just gonna mix that right up. I'm gonna add a little bit of water, just a splash, just to get it moving. Just putting it on the lowest setting, just pressing on.
Morgan, we have another question. About
Yes.
how long do you soak your seeds for?
So I soaked them it was a little less than 24 hours. So I put them in yesterday. What time was that? I would say about 16 hours. Yeah, like 16 to 24 hours is a good amount of time. Okay, so we're just mixing it up in the Vitamix or food processor, whatever you have. Cuisinart. All right, and then we're just gonna spread it out on another sheet to put in the dehydrator. Ooh, so this one has big scent to it with the garlic, with the fresh herbs. And that's what I love about cooking. Like every time I'm making something, I just have to like take a pause and just immerse myself in the scent of it. Oh, it's so lovely. All right, so we're just gonna pour that out onto the sheet. And again, everything that we're doing is on a personal serving size basis. So you have the recipe. If you want to make more, you can just do the math on that, multiply it. All right. So this one, you could just go pour it with your hands, but it's a little easier to use a spatula. So I'm just gonna spread it out about 1/4 inch now, so a little thinner than the pizza crust. We're just gonna spread that out on the sheet, just in a big square or rectangle. You want to try to keep it in that shape, so you can use the spatula to just shape the edges. Ooh, and with the pizzas, those are fun. Sometimes we used to make them in different shapes. So like for fall, you could shape the pizza in a little pumpkin. Now I'm kind of upset I didn't have everybody do that. I just thought of it now. But you could do a little pumpkin, or you could shape it. I used to shape them into a heart sometimes. But if you want to do it with the crackers, you can totally do that. You can make them into a big shape, but they're gonna be cut anyway. But it's just fun. I mean, sometimes when we're making things, we'll be making like big, like protein balls or something like that. And we'll have a big batch of it, and we'll just kind of like make faces in the dough and just have fun with it. Right, so you're just shaping out the crackers. Yeah, so these you're definitely going to want to dehydrate longer than the pizza. And depending on your dehydrator, you can keep checking on it. If it's not exactly as crispy as you want it yet, you can keep it in for longer. With the pizza, if you want it softer, you can take it out early. We're just shaping it, going back and forth on the edges. It's like painting. Okay, so with the crackers, now that we have them in a square, a rectangle, this is what mine look like. You know, it's fun if you're preparing the pizzas or anything like that for your kids. You can make them into little fun shapes and have fun with that. But so with this, we're just going to score. So we're gonna make about 4 rows, so 4 by 4 on each side. You can take the back edge of your knife or a spatula, and this you can press all the way down against the sheet with it. So you can just have like a nice clean line that goes all the way down. So with the pizza, we went just a little bit. But this one, we're gonna go all the way down. And each one is about 1 inch. All right. And then just on vertical and horizontal, we're just gonna do scoring the crackers. Yeah, so I actually ended up doing 5 rows on the end. I had some extra. So you see the little squares. Ooh, and now I'm getting an idea. We could take some fresh herbs, whatever you have, some rosemary or some thyme, and just sprinkle it on top. Or you could just press a couple like fresh leaves on top. You have them, or maybe if you have the Italian seasoning, you could just sprinkle it on top. Also, sage leaves would be really nice to just kind of press into it. That's what's fun about cooking. Like sometimes ideas just come to you. It's like, it comes up and you're like, ooh, let me try that. So if you want to have a couple like nice fresh herbs on top. Or if you have some sun-dried tomatoes, you do, because we're gonna put them in the meatballs. Maybe you wanna just put like a sun-dried tomato on top or something. So it's just, you know, exercising some creativity and adding some fun little embellishments. You wanna put some fresh herbs on top. And so many times, accidents or mistakes in the kitchen turn out to be like some of the best things. Like the meatballs that we're about to make to top the pizza with, that was a complete accident. So we used to have this spaghetti and meatballs, or no, it was just spaghetti with zucchini noodles, and we would mix a meat sauce into it. So it was just like sun-dried tomatoes and red pepper, onions, all the things we're gonna use. And you just mix that right in with the zucchini noodles as a sauce. But one day someone was making it and there was some almonds in the bottom of the food processor, because someone was like making a treat and then they forgot it was there. And so they started adding the other things into it. And then it just became the meatballs. Like that's just how the meatballs were formed. The almond flour, and there's like this new texture, and then we rolled them into balls and meatballs. So, and also like the plantain wraps that we have were a total mistake. They were used to be chips, and then something went wrong with the weather and the dehydrator. I don't even know exactly remember, but then it became a whole different texture, and we're like, okay, let's just wrap some stuff in this, and now it's like one of everyone's favorite thing when they come here. It's just funny, you know, like an accident, a mistake can be the best thing ever. All right, so I have some nice fresh herbs on top, pressing them in, and then this is ready to go. You could put that in the dehydrator. You could put it on 115, or if you have a time setting. Maybe you don't have a time setting, we just want to put it in there and let it go for a while. Again, if you have any questions, I'm going to set this down.
Looking really good, Morgan.
Nice.
Well, we have about 15 minutes remaining, and let's get back quickly to whatever we have left.
All right. Okay, time flies. Wow. Really does. Okay, so let's make the zucchini hummus. So we have something for the crackers. Okay, so we're gonna do a half cup of chopped zucchini. I wonder how many cups you could get out of this zucchini. It's so lovely. All right, so half cup of chopped zucchini. Just gonna dive right into this. I almost don't even want to cut it. It's so beautiful. Ah! Wow, that is hard to cut into. It's a hefty guy. Thank you for your life, zucchini. This is like a baby. Huge. All right. So we're gonna cut it into a half cup. So you can chop it roughly, because we're just gonna put it in the blender.
Morgan, if I have the leftover in the Vitamix, some of the crackers ingredients, is that okay?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. It all goes together really well. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm planning on cleaning the food processor for the meatballs. So yeah, you can just throw it right in. So we're just gonna get some zucchini. And again, this is personal serving. You can always make more. I think this is about a half cup. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna put this in the Vitamix now. This is actually a clean blend, is what it is. Clean blend commercial blender. So we're gonna do 1/2 cup of chopped zucchini. And then we're gonna do a tablespoon of tahini. All right. So a tablespoon of tahini. All right, and then I'm gonna do a 1/2 clove of garlic.
Morgan, is this zucchini hummus also able to be multiplied for larger servings?
Yeah, yeah. So you can multiply this. Maybe you want to multiply it right now if you have enough. I definitely do. So I'll probably make some more after this. Yeah, you can multiply this. You can make. You're probably gonna want a lot more. This is like a little tease. But all right, so chopping garlic now. So I have the clove, and I like to just take the blade and just press it down on the garlic, and then press my hand down on it just so I can crush it. And then it's easier to take the outer skin off.
Excuse me, Morgan, did you take off this, did you peel the skin of the zucchini?
Of the zucchini? No, I didn't. Is that Karen?
Yes, hi, Morgan.
Hi. Oh, hi, Karen.
So excited to see you here.
I know, this is so great. I did not peel the skin of it, no.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I peeled the garlic skin. So now I'm just gonna do, it depends on you. If I know people like really love garlic and they want to go all out and just like throw a bunch in there. My partner's like that. Like he'll just like throw so much garlic and I'm like, that's a lot of garlic for me. But the clove is about this big. I don't know if you can see. I'm just gonna do 1/2 of that. So if we're gonna measure that out, that'd probably just be like a 1/2 teaspoon of it chopped. All right, so that's in there. And then we're gonna do a teaspoon of lemon juice. So I'm just gonna squeeze the lemon itself right into the teaspoon. Yeah, so I already cut this one in 1/2, but if you need to cut your lemon, cut it in 1/2, and then I'm gonna do it over the blender. Just squeeze. Nice. I'm gonna do 1 teaspoon right in there. All right, and I'm getting messy. And then for some spices, we're gonna do cumin and paprika. So we're gonna do, how much of that? 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. Right in the hummus, and then 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. So this is just gonna give it like a nice flavor. 1/4 teaspoon. All right, and then depending on your Vitamix, your blender, you may have to pour just like a splash of water in there to get it going. But that really just depends on what machine you're using. So I'm gonna do a little splash of water. And then just blend it right up. So I'm just putting it on and then just keeping it on the lowest setting. And then if it needs a little bit, I'll turn it up a little bit. So I'm just turning it on. And it's that simple. It's so easy. Oh, it smells lovely.
Morgan, can you share the names or the brands of your food processor and blender, please?
Yeah,
Someone's
so
asking what the blender is. Yeah.
the food processor is a Cuisinart. And oh yeah, you probably can't see this because it's behind here. But this is a clean blend 3 HP commercial blender. So we use this a lot for smoothies, for making sauces here at Roots. So it's a really nice blender. It's good. It's got a couple different settings. There's a full setting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, so then we can just scoop that out. You can put it in a little container. Maybe you want to like try a little bit, whatever you're feeling. And this, I mean, you could try it right now. You could just totally save all of it for the crackers. So this is a nice dip for the crackers when they're done in 20 hours tomorrow.
It's
I love it.
delicious.
Yeah, you get to be so patient with everything. So I'm just gonna pour this right out. Gonna nice.
It's like real hummus.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Tahini is, I love tahini. Zucchini, the zucchini is special. And yeah, the color is even, it's just like the chickpeas would be.
I used yellow zucchinis, so it's like a real deal.
Oh, nice. That's smart. Yeah, so anything that you have. So got a nice little treat waiting for you with the crackers too. Maybe I'll try a little bit. I'm gonna try a little taste. Oh, that's nice. Oh yeah, it's a lot of garlic too. That's great. Okay. Excited about that for later. All right, so we got a little bit of time left. We're gonna do the meatballs. I'm so happy you're here, Karen, because I know you love these meatballs. Okay, so we're gonna use the food processor. I'm using the food processor for these. But if you wanna use your Vitamix or whatever you have. So we'll do a tablespoon each of red onion, red pepper, and carrot. So this is, you can just really roughly chop it. You don't have to chop it as finely as we did the carrots for the pizza crust. You can just do like a nice rough chop because you're gonna put it to blend or to process anyway. So you can do a nice rough chop. So that's just like pretty big pieces still. So we're gonna do a tablespoon of that. I'm gonna put just a little bit more for my own sake, just so it will blend better, because I got this really big food processor here. So we're gonna do a tablespoon of that. And then this size is just enough to top the one personal pizza. But these, I'm gonna say, if you're making these at home again some other time, definitely make more. Like you could even times this by 10 and just have them. You could just store them right in the fridge, and they're really good. Like what we eat them, we prepare them here with the tomato sauce and a little bit of cheese, a nut-based cheese on top. So I'm just peeling the onion, just taking the skin off. So I chopped off each side, and then I just peeled the skin off. And I'm just gonna, I have a cute tiny little onion, so I'm just gonna rough chop that. Tablespoon. So carrot and onion are in there, and then we're gonna do the red pepper. Just gonna take it, slice a little bit off. Rough chop. All right. I love the smell of peppers. Wow. So we got onion, carrot, pepper. And then we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of sun-dried tomatoes. So I have these nice sun-dried tomatoes. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of those. It's always hard to kind of like measure out a tablespoon if they're in these whole slices like this, but stacking. Okay. So I have 2 tablespoons of sun-dried tomatoes. All right, so onion, carrot, pepper, sun-dried tomatoes. Then we're gonna do a teaspoon of the Italian seasoning that you have, or herbs, whatever you have. Pop that right in there. All right. Then we're gonna do the half clove of garlic from the zucchini hummus. If you have another half to make that whole, we're just gonna put that right in the food processor. And then another teaspoon of lemon juice. So I'm just gonna squeeze the lemon right in. Make sure you get out any of the seeds. 1 teaspoon of lemon. I love lemon and things. It just kind of helps to brighten up the flavors. I think it's really nice. It accentuates. And then we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of almond flour. So if I know someone doesn't have nuts, if you have like a sunflower seed flour, you could do buckwheat flour, whatever kind of flour works for you, you could use, but we used almond flour. So I'm just gonna do 3 tablespoons of almond flour. And if you are making a large batch of this, I will say to process or blend everything first and then add the almond flour. But because it's such a small amount, that this is okay. But it just helps for the sake of churning everything together, just to process it first and then add the almond flour. But for now, we got everything in there and we're just gonna mix it up. Again, if you need to, depending on what machine you have, you can add a little bit of water. If you need to, you can take top off. Oh, I love the smell of this. It's so exciting about this too, because if you were just to pulse all the vegetables with the lemon juice and the herbs, that's the word I'm looking for, it would be like a nice chopped vegetable little salad or something that you could even put on the crackers. You could dip the crackers into it. So you could do a couple different things with that, but I'm just gonna mix this around a little bit.
Morgan, do you think that amaranth flour would work as well?
Amaranth flour.
We have
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that would work.
And also, how long does the hummus last in the refrigerator, would you say?
I would say maybe about like 4 days. I would say 4 days, just to keep it at its freshest point.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah. All right, so just mixing it all together, making sure everything is pulsed nicely. Let me see. Okay. All right, so just checking on the texture of the meatballs. So making sure everything is mixed together. So you want to have like a nice, like creamy texture to it. So if you need to, you could add a little bit more flour. And then the last thing we're gonna do is just roll it into balls. So I'm gonna add just a little more almond flour because the first time I really made a very small amount of something in this big processor, so it just needs a little bit more of this to get it going. Yeah, okay. Cool, so we have this nice mixture. It might be in like one big ball, one big glob. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna roll it into balls, and then I'm gonna put it on the same dehydrator sheet as the pizza. Just because it's gonna be just a couple balls. All right. We don't have much time left, so this is the last thing we're gonna do. You can measure them out. We usually do a tablespoon. So you just put your mixture. And then just roll it into a ball. So it'll be, the almond flour helps to keep it into this nice ball shape. Yeah, so we just have, we'll probably have a couple of these. So you could make a bigger one if you wanted to. But what we're gonna do for the pizza, we're gonna crumble it anyway. So for the sake of this, if you want them to be just meatballs that you wanna put in tomato sauce or something, I think 1 tablespoon size is great. So you could just put the rest of this into 1 tablespoon size. I have a couple whole sun-dried tomatoes in there. I'm just gonna put off to the side. That's something you get to experience it with the tools that you're using. Like sometimes these big food processors, you need to have a lot of stuff in there to really get the nice mixture that you want it to be in. So with this right now, because it was such a small amount, you can still see all of the outlines of the vegetables, which is nice. It has like a nice minced quality to the vegetables. But then sometimes maybe with your machine, you're seeing that it's like thoroughly integrated. So it's just the ball. So maybe you're not seeing the outlines of the textures and shapes as much. But yeah, we're just gonna take the balls and just roll them. These are so good. Yeah, these are nice to eat just with the tomato sauce, and just put them over some fresh greens. So right now I think I'm gonna get about 6 of the balls out of this. This might even be nice to put on a cracker. You could do a little zucchini hummus and then put the meatball on top. Wow, coming up with all sorts of ideas here. Yeah, so we have these nice balls. And yeah, I'm thinking you could even use flaxseed, ground up flax instead of almond if you wanted to, just to have something to help bind it together and give it that little bit of creaminess. Because of the dehydrated. Are we out of time?
Yes, we're about a little bit over time, but that was so much fun, Morgan. That was very special.
Cool, thank you.
Very,
yeah,
very special. And
what did you say?
I'm saying thank you everyone for spending this hour with us and making very, very healthy, beautiful food here with Chef Morgan. And I know, Morgan, now why the Roots Cafe is so popular and why Kieran was like raving about this. It's because you put so much love and so much creativity and so much dedication to that. And it's the food observe the energy of the person who's cooking it. And that's why people who are eating are inspired by your creativity, enthusiasm, and love for those raw foods.
Oh, thank
So
you. That's so special.
really grateful for your, yes, very grateful for your show today. And I'm completely excited to put it all together next week, guys.
Yes, yeah, we get to eat together next week. That's gonna be fun.
Yes, and make sure you prepare the crust and all these ingredients next week as well in advance, so you have it all ready. And we'll make tomato sauce, we'll make raw vegan cheese, and we'll assemble the pizza next week.
Cool. Thank you so much, everyone. It was really special to do this. Thank you, Larissa. I love what you're doing. It's amazing.
Well, great. Thank you. We love what you're doing, and we're so happy that you were able to do it.
Yes.